Without further ado, I'm giving you George Kveton from Invictus MD.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, it's a great pleasure for me to be here with New Green Frontier, with Gene, our tremendous ambassador. I don't think it'll be as colorful and as dynamic as what he did, but I hope at least from a stockholder perspective, do justice to Invictus MD. I took over the reins as CEO last Monday. I've been on the board for 2 years now and have been a good friend and behind-the-scenes operator in Invictus from the start. So I have to say I'm very pleased to have had the opportunity from Dan Krisnick, who is the former CEO, to have been given really all the pieces of the puzzle, or Rubik's Cube, what I call it, to take further and grow this great company. So I know we have a limited amount of time, so I'll be quite economic in terms of what I want to strike in terms of message points. Now I have to find the teleprompter here. Is it this thing? It should move. Yes, and it doesn't.
That's why I don't use the damn things.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I'll go through very, very quickly. We're really approaching the industry and as a company, a vision to be differentiated really through innovation, being highly customer-centric, and really growing and expanding the company in a very responsible manner. Let me put the pillars here. I mean, really, there's no simple approach. It's a question of maintaining the highest integrity, executing with excellence in terms of presenting our consumers with the best products at the right time, innovating both in terms of product portfolio, but also processes and how we're actually delivering things to market, and education. I think here, there's a huge opportunity to educate not only our adult use recreational consumers, but also obviously patients, doctors, and working with governments in sync to bring further integrity and raising the bar in terms of the standards for this industry. We are pursuing right now a very vertically integrated model, starting with cultivation, and that's really, I believe, the Achilles heel of the industry today. Solid distribution, focusing on really 2 strategic pillars for us in terms of continued now focus on adult use recreational consumers and building a portfolio around that, and as well on the medical stream, which is equally, if not more important. And then once we get our house sorted in Canada by meeting the product and portfolio requirements across the key markets where we want to play in terms of provinces, then we'll take a more disciplined ginger approach to international. My roots is international. I'm Canadian-Swiss. I spent the last 20 years building out the global tobacco industry in M&A, so all around the world. So it's really a question of now being able to meet international expansion where we can then just push the button and take these companies or take Invictus to the next level. The Canadian footprint, and I'll go to the next slide, which is probably the most interesting, where we are. You've probably seen the GTEC deal announced last Friday, I think it was, in addition to the assets we now have brought on board in BC, OptionCo. Together, we're going to reach 400,000 square feet by next year, and then scale from then on. So I think that is a very huge leap for us into being able to build a portfolio. Let me go very quickly to the reach. I hope you have access to this or will then be able to access this to go through, but I've been given a small amount of time, so let me go through I'm going to skip this over this. This is the team. Obviously, Jean, the handsome gentleman here, CFO, myself, and what I'm tremendously proud with is the woman representation at an executive level in our company. We are matched, as you can see, 50-50. I will continue to support diversity and get the best on board. And it so happens, I believe that's the next topic after, so hopefully it'll make a good segue. But that is certainly my responsibility as a CEO to keep building that, and that is a strong key team is tremendously important. How we operate, again, this is the full value chain. It really has to start with research, consumer insights, building products that meet the consumer, and continue to iterate. And leaving the LPs what they do best in terms of genetics, strains, production processes, et cetera, and the brand building management team managing very successfully a business that ultimately for you generates shareholder value. Lots of things in terms of every month, lots of milestones achieved, and all of them according to plan. I think in terms of leaving you with as prospective investors, I believe our outlook is very promising. Again, we are very consumer-centric as an organization, and that, I think, very, very different from like a Soviet-style economy. Everything is going to be built around the consumer, basically. Build it around the consumer. Strong brand portfolio, which, again, we'll roll out when we have the products and the strains that meet the consumer's needs and the patient's needs. We have a balanced and growing Canadian footprint, best-in-class GMP cultivation, which is now going to be intended for the EU, starting with Germany. Balance sheet, which has funds in our treasury for scaling acquisitions. And as I mentioned again, one of my greatest things that I'm proud with today is that I've inherited a very capable, passionate executive management team, which has a very strong representation with women on it. You've seen the news. That tells you the speed at which we're moving. We're putting this presentation together, and when it was actually announced, we added one more growth slide to it. And I hope that gives you a flavor of the company we're trying to be, a company certainly responsible, and a company focused on being one of the big boys, not only in Canada, but internationally. So again, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.